Hello and welcome to the RLPC Major Draft. I forgot to make a ping, so I'm going to do that really quickly, but our draft is going to commence in just a little bit. All the GMs trying to figure out who they are going to take to make their major teams this year. The draft order, actually, I should have that up on another tab. There is our little ping, and I can pull up the draft board. Let me just make sure that that is up and ready to go. So here is our official draft order. These picks are not eligible to be traded, as Major in RLPC is a pure draft league. Every contract signed is a one-year contract, and all of the teams will try to make whatever team they can. Coming into the draft lottery that we held a couple weeks ago, the order was decided purely randomly. So it doesn't really matter where you are, because it's also a snake draft. So even though, as you may see on the board, that the Flames have the number 1 overall pick, they will also be picking at the 32nd spot. So even though that they have number 1 and will get a superstar right away, they're going to have to wait a while to make that second pick. So with that said, Flames are going to be on the clock first, followed by the Hawks, Storm, Lions, Whitecaps, Spartans, Ducks, and Panthers will round out your top 8. In the back half, the Pirates, the Eagles, Lumberjacks, Sharks, Bulls, Kings, Cobras, and Ascension, who will be picking back-to-back at 16 and 17, creating a dynamic duo with that pick. Now, without further ado, let's head to our draft board for tonight. Now, I also want to give a shout out to Sky, who is a major player, I believe, who actually redid our graphics. You may notice that we are back in the blue and silver. That is our RLPC. Away goes the gold and red for now. We're back in blue, baby. And this is going to be a very, very fun season. As you can see on the board already, the first pick has gone, and Fries is going to be taken first overall. 1898 MMR, one of the higher picks possible, up at the very, very top. Kiro is the highest salary player at 2051. He's got more MMR than our current year. That's the only player. Thank you for the recommendation, Dirty. I saw your message. Still trying to figure out the new levels, because we're redoing the audio a little bit as the season goes on. I think my mic is also quite quiet. More than normal. Make sure that that's all fine and dandy. Turn myself up a little bit here. There we go. Making sure that we're within good ranges. Anyway, there you go. There's your first 2 picks. The Hawks coming in at number 2 with entry. One of the higher players in the draft, I believe, was looking at the players list number 5 in terms of salary. Bakiro is our number 1, the only player in the draft with more MMR than the current year. Miro at number 2 is 2003. And then there's a little bit of a barrier between Rec and Ryan, who are at 1962 and 1959, respectively. As Kiro gets taken off the board, goes to the Storm at number 3. Lions, I would not be surprised here with a pick of Almost Magic Mike, the former GM of that organization, and is going to probably end up back with that organization in some capacity. But we'll see what their new GM, Lasagna Lou, is going to do with this pick. Still some great names on the board. Rec, one of the most notable players in Major, personally scored a overtime winning goal in season 16 or 17 of RLPC for the Pirates to win the championship in Major that year in Game 6. One of my favorite calls of all time in RLPC, as a bit of a bias. But that actually is up on our YouTube, as Mike does indeed go to the Lions. The YouTube is something that we are also going to be doing a lot more this year. RLPC Official on YouTube. Already have our promotional video for the year. Excuse me, words were just not coming to me there. As Ryan is selected for the Whitecaps. One player left above 2,000 MMR in Miro, still on the board. Could very well end up going to the Spartans with this next one. But the YouTube coming back, we're going to be doing a lot of social stuff. Follow us on our Twitter as well. I believe that is RLPC Official. We may even be bringing back the TikTok too. So I think that is also at RLPC Official on TikTok. So there you go. And Spartans on the clock now. They have a bit of a decision. In chatting with Mike a little bit before the draft started, as he's helping facilitate things as the major relations liaison. This is loud. Even in my ears, I agree. There we go. Turn that up just a little bit now. There we go. Hexy going to be taken off the board here for the Spartans. Ooh, and the clock is synced and everything too. Love that. Player who made a name for themselves last year here. And we'll look to do the same thing again. I forget what team Hexy was on last year, actually. See if I can find last year's sheets as well in my long history of opened documents. There we go. Ducks with about a minute left on the clock here with their selection of number 7. Ah, there we go. Hexy was on the Ascension last year. There you go. I knew it was a slightly familiar name. One tap Steven going to the Ducks, and Panthers taking Arrow. That a name familiar to those who were here last year. I believe I'm remembering him on the Spartans, although I don't know if that's 100% accurate. Eagles last year, that's what it was. It was the Eagles. And he will go a couple of picks earlier than the Eagles will be drafting. The Pirates are on the clock now. Eagles going to be up after them. And we will see what these teams take. That the first player going to be playing for the Panthers in quite a long time. Haven't had a major team in RLPC for at least 2, possibly 3 or 4 seasons now. And because of our expansion back into a full 16-team major class, the Panthers are back, and they are going to select Arrow. The other teams that are now back for the first time, Pirates going to be finally taking Miro, the last 2K MMR peak player to come off the board here. I believe the Pirates did not compete last year as well. The Kings, I'm almost 100% sure, didn't as well. And my memory is failing me from then on, who the very last one was. Although I'm going to say probably Lumberjacks. Actually, no, Lumberjacks. I don't remember. As Rec is going to go to the Eagles. Man, I spoke very highly of. As of late, it will be a top 10 pick in Major this season. Has a long history in this league. And will continue to try and make his mark here in Season 20. Lumberjacks on the board. Oh, it was the Bulls org. That was it. It was the Bulls that didn't have a major team. So Bulls, I'm pretty sure Kings, Panthers, and I'm pretty sure Pirates are the teams coming back this year from a brief hiatus. Panthers, historically one of the better major teams as well. Making that finals where Rex scored on them, unfortunately. But that was under the watchful eye of Gatman, who is now the Storm's GM, as Raid has taken over the Panthers. And I think this will be the first time that he's ever had a major team as the GM of the Panthers. So we'll see how he is able to do there as a, at this point, fairly tenured general manager as well. Taking a look at some of the final names here on the board above 1900. There's 8 of them left. Zapeg at 1957. Gamma at 1952, the 2 highest rated players left here. Mitch at 1940. Dafik at 1935. Mr. S at 1923. Algix at 1921, Avalance at 1916, and J Pizzle at 1909. Kratos, the very next player there, was a AAA player for the Trojans last year, so that could end up being a decent second-round pick for the Spartans if they loop back around, as that is the same organization. But he is now top 8 in MMR left in this draft, as Zapeg Mafia is going to go off the board. The highest player on the board is going to be taken and go to the Lumberjacks here, as the Sharks now are going to be on the clock. About a minute left here for the Sharks to make their pick. All right, as the pick is in, Algix is going to be taken off the board at 12. A name that I believe should be familiar to those who have played in MLE, if I remember correctly, was, I believe, an all-star there last season, as the Bulls now on the clock, and has made his way here to RLPC. Welcome. As he will be the first pick for the Sharks. Mitch now going to the Bulls. Very much a flip pick there. As the first round comes to an end, we might just barely get a a little interview with a GM or two over the course of today. Kings make their first pick, going with a high contract here, 1952 for Gamma, who's going to go off the board. The highest remaining player now is 1935 MMR for Dayfic, and we'll see what kind of dynamic duo is created here for the Ascension in just a couple of picks. Oh, that's the wrong button I pressed. There we are. I'm now joined here by Flashy of the Sharks organization. You guys just made your first pick at number 12 here for Algix, a name that I believe has not appeared in RLPC yet, but is a new player to the league. What did you guys end up seeing in him that made him so desirable to take at that spot in the draft? Make sure we got everything going properly here. I just realized I don't think I had your mic connected. That's wonderful. Let me get Discord in here. There we go. All right, you're connected now. We're good.
Should I say it again?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So me and Jarhead have seen Algix in other leagues, so we kind of knew that he was a good player, even though major tryouts don't really happen a lot, and other people probably didn't, unless they also knew him from other leagues. So pretty good high MMR player, good player all around. We thought it was a good first round pick.
Do you have another player that you're looking at as your next pick coming up pretty soon at number 21? Not a whole lot of players going to be taken in between Dayfic, who did go at 15 to the Cobras while we were chatting, and your next pick at 21. I'm not going to ask about people that you may be looking at, because I know you don't necessarily want to give away your secrets, but do you have any players that you have in mind that you are looking to select, or is it kind of just going to come up to who's available when the time comes?
Probably just who's available, because I don't know a lot of major players, but you know, it just we'll see what happens, see who's available.
All right, well, I will let you get back to your chat with Jarhead up in the general manager's chat. Good luck this season with the Sharks, and hope to see you have some competitive action out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No problem. Again, that was Flashy, I believe, an AGM over at Sharks.org, who, as mentioned, Algix, their first pick here. Ascension on the clock. They have back-to-back picks now, going to be picking at 16 and 17 to start off their roster with a bang and getting 2 in a row. Both of which, at this point, interestingly enough, could be 1,900 players, too, if they do decide to go with Avalanche and Jay Pizzle. But, of course, contracts aren't everything. They do go with Mr. S at 16, so that's one of two. So they could go with Avalanche or Jay Pizzle at 17 to get a duo of 1,900 MMR players, which, honestly, not a bad start. But sometimes with drafts like these, you do want to go with players who you think will play well together. Especially in Major, with a snake draft like that, a lot of these players are playing at a very high level, and sometimes you find gems at lower MMRs that just end up playing better with players who are higher up. We will see if the Ascension have anything in mind there, or if they're just going to go with raw talent, if you will, or by the contracts. The board will update automatically when the 17th pick is made, and should flip through, so every few seconds you'll be able to see round 1 and then round 2 right after it, as every team is going to be taking, there you go, every team is going to be taking 4 members tonight. Stick, the newest member of the Ascension, going to be duoing up with Mr. S there. And we will see who the Cobras are going to take to duo up with Dafik here. As the draft continues, I will reference back to the picks early on in the draft if the board doesn't update. So don't worry, we'll keep you in the loop of what the teams are looking like as the day goes on, and theorize a little more about what these teams are going to look like as this draft continues. But Cobra's got about 1:15 left on the clock for their second pick. Some heavy deliberation needed here. Some teams are also, in technicality, going to be forfeiting their picks as major players may be GMs or AGMs in organizations. So depending on how the majority of people in the major league, in GMs as well, based on how they were judged, a pick will be taken as compensation for having a member already part of the management structure of an organization. I do not believe any of that has happened just yet, although I could very well be wrong on that. Still waiting on the Cobras pick, though. They've only got a few seconds left to make the pick. Just making sure that... I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe I don't see it on my end anymore. I was gonna say, I think the Major Draft channel for draft season 20, I believe, is open for viewing. So if you want to keep up through Discord instead of through the stream, you're welcome to, although ours will update as the Discord does. And we got 2 very quick picks here as the Cobras select iTrash, and the Kings will select Wolf with their pick. And now the Bulls on the clock. They're now officially on the clock. Maybe about 15 seconds after the timer went, although I'm sure Flip has an idea of who he wants to take in mind. And then up next is going to be the organization that we were chatting about a little earlier with Flashy in the Sharks. We'll see what their duo is going to be for Algix. For the Cobras and Kings, though, Lefty going to the Bulls here. Going to be duoing up with Mitch. Going to be interesting to see what they can do this season. The Kings have Wolf and Gamma, and Cobras have Trash and Dafik. A couple of names that have been in the league for a little while now. We'll see what kind of chemistry they are going to have. So the Sharks officially up. There's still a couple of 1,900 players that are available, at least in terms of contract. A lot of the recent picks in between 1850 or 1830 and lower, ever since Stick was picked, every player has been lower MMR, and that's where you see what I was talking about earlier in terms of these value contracts that are coming up, because some of these players may be playing right at their peak right now and looking really good and continuing to push up, while some of the players who have higher peaks may actually be playing at a lower level at the moment. But Slimeball going to the Sharks, definitely a fantastic pickup. Was on the Spartans last year from what I remember, although we've already seen how shoddy my memory has been today. Slimeball was on the Sharks last year. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm just losing my mind. I just think everybody's on the Spartans for some reason. But Slimeball making his return to the Sharks for the second season in a row. That's going to be paired up with Aljix. That could be a very, very nasty duo. Two very, very talented players. Drink water. That's your daily reminder.
Mike dragged me for your interview here. Cubes,
so wonderful. How's it going, Alien? The GM of Flames Org. You got that number 1 overall pick and went with Fries, who is rated under 1900 MMR.
Well, yeah, you might be thinking it's an interesting pick, but I ran those two last season with Aspect of Hope, and they got good chemistry. So weird pick, but like I think if we find them a good third here in the third round, that could be a really good team. So don't doubt them.
Don't doubt the Flames is what I'm hearing here. Is there any other pick that's happened so far that's really, really caught your eye through the first about round and a half so far here?
Dark's taken Steven over Arrow. Kind of like was shocking to me. Other than that, I would say the Festive one was kind of shocking to me too. But other than that, draft's looking pretty good.
As we have been speaking, the Lumberjacks have selected Grand Plat with their next pick, 1880, and they will be pairing with Zapeg Mafia, who is 1957, going at 11 overall in that first round. Eagles are now on the clock, and you don't pick for another little while here, but do have back-to-back picks at 32 and 33. Mm-hmm. Do you have, like you were saying that you have an idea of who you want to pair with Fries? Do you have an idea already of who you want to make that third, or is that going to be a in-the-moment kind of decision that you make?
I have a list, thanks to Mike on the left, I have a list right now on players I do. One of them does include, I know GMs are watching, but one of them does include Pearl. I think putting Pearl on with those two could be a really good team right there. But I do have others in mind just in case Pearl does get sniped.
He's got his ideas. Fries, I believe Aspect of Hope was your duo there, and then Pearl could be under the Flames banner this season. Again, as we've been talking, the Eagles have made their pick. Nitrix going to be paired up with Rec here for the Eagles. Pirates now on the clock to make their pick, to pick a player to pair with Miro. Is there anybody that you think that this Pirates team at 24 is going to go and grab? Oh, well, I mean, we've got our answer now. M. has just gone to the Pirates. I'll ask you the same question about the Panthers, because they selected Arrow, a player that I think is highly rated amongst GMs, with the 8th pick. Who do you think they're going to select here to go with that?
I could possibly see Aspect of Hope getting picked here. I think he would be a good duo for Arrow. And he's a really good player. I can see Raid taking that.
All right. Thank you for all of your insights so far. I'll let you get back into the draft room.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Cubics. Good luck with the draft.
Thank you very much. Have a good one. Again, that was the Flames general manager, Alien Healer, joining us here for a little bit on the desk, sharing some of his insights into Major League. As the Panthers have selected Coffee with the 25th pick. That is incredibly interesting to me. A player that will now get some experience playing with Arrow, a name that's been around the league a very long time. It's good to see him get back on a team. Now the Ducks A pick that we heard from Alien just now, an interesting one for him. One tap Steven going at 7 over Arrow at 8, and the Ducks are going to find him a duo here. And then after that, even more interesting is the Spartans org. Kratos still on the board. Could we see him go to the Spartans there? The cap troubles could come in the next couple of rounds. Teams are going to have to start thinking about how they're going to make sure that they are under the salary cap in Major here as we keep moving down the order. Avalanche and Jay Pizzle still up on the board, both over 1,900, though at this point that's not necessarily a good thing. Ducks are going to go with B-Man, and Spartans, of course they do. They go with Kratos right away here to pair with Hexy up top. That could be a very interesting duo for the Spartans this season. Hexy had a decent season last year, and we'll look to improve it with Kratos, who's been on the up and up. Probably a little bit overrated based on that MMR, but still a player who can play at a very, very high level. I don't doubt that he can consistently play and produce in Major, although the contract may be a little bit rich. But regardless, if they're going to be able to have him on the team, he will be a valuable second or third man for that Spartans squad. Hopefully second, considering where he was taken. And now the Flames plans go up in flames as Aspect of Hope gets selected by the Whitecaps at number 28 as he's taken off the board. Also notice that B-Man at 1769 MMR, I believe, is the lowest drafted player so far. So maybe making a little bit of room for a higher MMR player, somebody who has one of those slightly rich contracts later on in the draft, who can still provide a very good amount of value. Lions, to pair with Mike, have selected BW. 1822 is his contract. Storm now on the board. Going to pair with our number 1 overall rated prospect by their MMR, 2051 MMR, a very rich contract for Kiro, who has been a perennial all-star in RLPC. Going at number 3 to the Storm. He'll get a duo at number 30 here in just a moment. Picks coming in quite quickly now, and I think as the draft goes on, you'll see picks being taken a little bit faster as the pool lowers, and we'll see who exactly is going to be taken. Going back up to the top to take a look at some of the higher rated or higher contracted players still left here. Avalanche, Jay Pizzle, we talked about them enough. P-Man at 1878. B-Kin at 1872, Frisbee at 1855, Bronze at 1853, Simplex at 1817, and Squishy at 1801 are the remaining draftees over 1800. Everybody else below that mark. Not necessarily, not necessarily by a lot though. More water. As Le Frijole is at 1798, so only 3 MMR behind Squishy, but yet going to be important there. There are, it's also going to be important to note here that there are more draftees than spots on major teams this season, so there will be a couple of players who do not get a roster spot to start the season. So even the team with the very, very last pick at number 64 in the Ascension, they'll still have the ability to select one of a few players, assuming that more than one player fits their cap structure. The Storm here taking timed at 1738 MMR. Very low, but a very, very good player who has been in this league for a little while, and makes sense that he would be somebody to play alongside Kiro and to be drafted by Gatman too, as that would be a name that would have been around, I believe, when Gatman was still a GM for the Panthers back in the day, back in the good old days of RLPC. First round, or the second round, excuse me, first half of the draft, that's what I meant to say, coming to a close with the Hawks taking their second player, and then the Flames with their back-to-back picks at 32 to end out the first half, and then 33 to start the second. We'll see if the Flames will go bang-bang with both their picks kind of at once, or if they're going to go with a player and then think about and peruse their list a little bit. As we heard from Alien Healer a little while ago about exactly who they are looking to pick. Pearl, notedly, is still on the board, though. Down at... So I look through all of the names to try and find... MMR 1756 is where Pearl is at. Bunch of players still up here, too. MD Boys still up here, who was 90 cranker on the Spartans last year. And was one of the better offensive producers in Major. 1770 MMR still up on the board as well. Sky also still on the board. 1788 was the one who did redo the color scheme of our graphics. So once again, shout out to them. I will be doing that a lot over the course of the season, because not necessarily an easy job to do that. And he volunteered to do it, and so there we go. I meant to set up an extra light, because the lighting in this room sucks. Oh well. As the Hawks finalize their pick here, we are going to take a short 1-minute break here, and we will show you our little promo video here for season 20. Meant to play it off the top, didn't get around to it, and we'll catch you up on all the picks that have happened in our 53-second break when we come back in just a moment. Oh, what a play from Isaac!
But that does require the Storm to start winning the game, but Bravo hitting an absolutely disgusting angle. This is Bravo the shooter, apparently. This is Bravo's series, because this man has scored 5 goals.
Unvoiced trying his best to get a hat trick of goals in the series. Oh, God! Stop it!
Till the sun goes out, maybe it's low.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little video. Gonna bring the music back up as well here, as Zap is going to be our first member taken in the third round. To catch you up on the last 2 picks, as they will have barely flashed on your screen. The Hawks at 31 selected Teshega, 1750 MMR. And the Flames said, screw it, we'll take on that contract. Avalanche, 1916, the highest MMR player remaining at the time, was taken at 32. He will be a second-round pick here, as Zap is going to go as the first pick of the third round. The Flames complete their trio of top 3 picks with Zap, Avalanche, and their first overall pick in Fries, somebody that they have the utmost confidence in, that we heard earlier on in the show. And will now reorganize my screen just a little bit here. Oh, I just noticed There are actually only 3 rounds in Major. I thought they would do 4 so that each team would have a sub. I am mistaken. So the Flames have completed their entire team at Zap, Avalanche, and Fry. So that will be the trio that they run this year. Hawks with Teixeira, who was their first round pick? Teixeira, Entry, and 1. Yet to be decided here. And then the Storm after with Rec, Timed, and 1. So we'll see what players each team is going to choose to round out their roster here. Zeros are showing on the clock for the Hawks. Their pick is due. Hawks pick still not in. There we go. Their pick was skipped at the moment, so they will end up drafting at the end of the round. They did not draft a player named skipped with 0 MMR. That's not how that works. But they have forfeited their pick at 34 and will instead pick at 48. So the Storm relatively with the 35th or 34th pick, excuse me, here. And we'll get an extra slot in terms of who they're going to draft. And Storm will go with Paper to round out their team. As they will go grab the trio of Kiro, Paper, and Timed. And that will be the Storm roster this season. Definitely an interesting one. I don't mind it. That's not bad. That's pretty good, in fact. We'll see if anybody else is going to want to come and talk to me after they're done their draft here. Up next is Lions. Datsun drafting for them today as their GM, Lou, actually is out. Could not make it tonight. Mike as a shoe-in on that first pick for the Lions, going with BW and Mar to round it out. That, I think, makes a ton of sense for the Lions crew. That'll be a very fun team to watch this season. Mar coming in at 1759 MMR. Not confusing at all, trying to say Mamard and MMR right after each other. Brandishes fist angrily. Also the player who, fun fact, this is the little Cubics trivia, actually was the player who got me onto a team for the first time in RLPC. Offered me a position with the Penguins or Maverick at the time. Fun times, the good old days. Whitecaps rounding at their team with Cole Frankenpuff, 1792. I can read properly, I promise. With Aspect of Hope and Ryan as their squad this year. The Spartans will be looking to cap off their draft with a third for Kratos and Hexy as their current duo. It's interesting as the one running the Discord channel today, as you may be seeing if you are watching that Discord channel in the chat, is actually Cog, who is the general manager of the Spartans org. So he's got premier access to everything. So his picks, it will take some time now after facilitating the last few picks. He'll take some time here to think about exactly who he's going to take to round out their squad and how his cap situation is going to look for this season. He's got 30 seconds. Of course, the timer on screen is... You can bend it by a few seconds. It's not a hard cap, obviously. The Hawks took an extra minute and a half or so to have their pick skipped at the moment. I believe how it works. Ooh, Spartans going with Jay Pizzle at 38, the last remaining 1900 player. Or 1900 contract player. Ends up being a third rounder, which is very interesting, but they will pair with Kratos and Hexy, there you go, as their crew. So two 1900 contracted players on the Spartans. And that'll be interesting because that could end up being a very value pick. But, of course, with people who are taken this late who have that high MMR, usually it's because they peaked really high but actually play at a lower level. So third-round pick, and with the cap space that obviously they had to make that pick, I mean, obviously he's got a very high ceiling, if you will. So there you go. Ducks finishing their squad with P-Man, who is going to be teaming with One Tap, Steven, and B-Man. So, like, almost getting the full squad together of T-Man, P-Man, and B-Man, which I think the Ducks actually might try and do, which is hilarious, and I love it. Okay, I love this Panthers team. This is going to be a wonderful team to watch. Arrow, Coffee, and MD Boys, or 90 Cranker from last year. That is going to be a fun team. That is a very 4W reactions in the RLPC Major Draft Discord chat for that one. That is a WW team. That is going to be so much fun to watch. A lot of pop-off potential for that squad. Pirates going with Renro to round round out their team. Oh my goodness. I've had this lingering cough for like 2 weeks. It's super annoying. But the Pirates, their full squad will be M. Their second round pick, Miro, one of the two 2K players, and Renro. Bit of a budget pick that, I mean, that could work out very well. Renro, I believe, was in the league last year as well. Proved to be a major caliber player, so a starting roster spot makes sense. A lot of the people from here on out are going to have a lot to prove, being in the bottom 7-6 picks here. Jeffrey making the pick. I don't know why the music has stopped. That is slightly annoying. There we go. He's back. We did it. He's back. Luch going to the Eagles here. And Valence going to the Lumberjacks. Two in very quick succession here. Excuse me. Again. They didn't even get on the clock before Dan made the pick. So the Eagles' final roster is going to be Lush, Nitrix, and Wreck. That could actually be quite a good team as well. Flashy, I believe, had Isaac prepped and ready to go to round out the Sharks team, which will be Algix, Slimeball, and Isaac. That could be a very good team, actually, as well. I'm liking the way that these teams are looking kind of all around so far. They all seem to be very competitive squads. We've now come to the final line of the major draft. After, we'll go over everything again and invite GMs to come and talk about their draft. If any of you guys are in the Twitch chat right now and would like to come chat about the team that you have drafted, seeing as 12 teams are already done, just hit me up with a little DM on Discord, and we can get you in here for a little quick interview on your squad and what you think will make them so good in Major this season. As we are wrapping up here for the night, I will also mention that tomorrow is our big day. The independent draft going to be happening at 8 o'clock, and right after that, the P4 draft. The big one. The one that everybody has been waiting for. We'll find out what players will go to teams in all of AAA, AA, and Single A in that draft. And tomorrow we will also find out which independent organizations are going to draft players as well. There a limited pool of draftees in independent. Probably will only be a round or two long. But that said, still an important draft for all of the independent teams, excuse me. Also important to note that we very well could attempt to bring back Maverick next season. So picks for season 21 in the independent organizations will not just be for independent teams. It will also be for Maverick teams, meaning that for the first time in a while, I think every single draft will be for a different amount of teams, which is hilarious. Because you'll have Major, which is just Major, P4, which is AAA, AA, Single A, and then Independent, which is only 2 leagues independent in Maverick, which is hilarious. Flip, now typing from his phone, miraculously trying to get in his pick. Go faster. He's typing. You can see him. Looking for the Discord ID of his player. He is currently out of his house. They are going to select Knuckle to round out the Bulls organization. He would have been on stream tonight, and you all would have gotten to hear and possibly also make fun of him. But unfortunately, he is out of the house tonight, and so is drafting from his phone, so probably also doesn't have fantastic access to the behind-the-scenes GM's website page as well, so that he can grab Discord IDs easily for the purpose of drafting. So, final 3 picks here in the draft. The Bulls' full team is going to be Mitch, Lefty, and Knuckle, which also could be a very interesting team. We'll see how that pans out for what happens to be my organization now in the Bulls team. Knights, not the Knights. Knights is the AAA team. I don't know why I said the Knights. The Kings, dang it, are on the clock. Sandsbar is there from the Wizards, their independent affiliate, to draft tonight as I believe they're independent AGM. Any of the AGMs for any organization are available to make picks for organizations, even if they happen to be Major or P4, and you're an independent GM. As long as there's somebody there to tell Mike who they're picking, It's all good. Actually, there are 4 picks left because the Hawks, excuse me, have not. Dang it, the Hawks have not made their pick at 34, as that one was skipped earlier. They took too long to make their pick, and there you go. Frisbee going to the Kings, though, at number 46. Cobras and Ascension, the last 2 picks, they are going to be up here. Frisbee joining the Kings. Their full team is going to be Frisbee, Wolf, and Gamma. A lot of personally unfamiliar names, although judging by the general consensus, that also could be a very good team here. Cobras looking to round out their squad. Currently have iTrash and Dafik on their team. And we will see who will complete that trio. And then it is the Ascension picking last here. They have Mr. S and Stick already on their roster, which, from what I've heard, actually could be a very good duo. Stick, a major player for seasons and seasons now. And Mr. S, I believe a new player, but also rated very highly, I think, by the major community. So that could end up being a really, really nice duo, as the Cobras are going to go with Squishy here. 1801 MMR. Right on that cut line. Of the players left, highest MMR is BK Invaders. Actually, it's BK Invaders. I can read at 1872. Bronze at 1853. Simplex at 1817 and Le Frijole at 1798 are the 4 highest players remaining. Whether they will fit on the Ascensions team is a good question, but they are forced to select with their last pick. Actually, makes sense. They are forced to select Swift, so there was no question about it, as Swift, I believe, is the GM of Storm. They are forced to select Swift. Hawks are now back up on the clock. I don't know who they actually have. Picking for them. Although Ryotical is typing and a GM over there. I will also point out, just because I think it's hilarious, that the GM's chat, their voice channel, you know how you can now add like a little bit of like context to what's happening in the voice channel. Their context is drastically affecting fishing season, and for any of you who know what that means, you're a real OG to the drafts. As fishing season has indeed been drastically affected. If you don't know what it is, it's a very, very funny gif. With the 34th pick, because Mike actually can't go back and edit it, the Hawks are going to select Foam. I will give a little bit more context on that. Where is Foam? 1781 for Foam. We'll round out the Hawks this season. Quite a few players still left off here. Also interesting to note that Pearl also not taken in the draft this time around. But that will do it for our major draft. Let's go through the teams just real quick, as a little wrap-up, the board won't do us any good at this point, so let's head back to the desk. There we are. All right, to wrap things up for today, Flames, with the first overall pick, selected Fries. Their dynamic duo coming in at 32 and 33 to round out their squad. Going to be Avalanche and Zap. The Hawks had the second overall pick. Their duo at 31 and 34 was Tashega. And their 34th pick actually skipped, and they ended up picking at, quote, 49, where they selected Foam. Their second overall pick, though, Entry, a player who I believe has played in RLCS over in MENA. So definitely a player to watch out for. The highest MMR player on the Storm now, Kiro, is that member, and they would round out their team with Timed and Paper. Lions selecting Mike with the fourth overall pick. No surprises there, as the former GM of that organization. The Lions would go on to select BW and Mar to round out their roster. The Whitecaps would be up next. They would take Cole Frankenpuff and Aspect of Hope in the second and third rounds, but their first round pick going to be Ryan, one of the higher rated MMR players in the draft. The Spartans took Hexy at number 6. They would go on to take Kratos at number 27 and Jay Pizzle at number 38, a player with a 1909 MMR contract rating. So has a good amount of potential in Major as well. The Ducks would be the next team on the board at 7. They would take One Tap Steven at 7. Panthers would take Arrow at 8, as we heard from Alien Healer. Maybe a little bit of a surprise there. We'll see how he is able to do on this Ducks roster that is being filled out by B-Man and P-Man, the dynamic duo there. We'll see if they pick up T-Man at some point as well. The Panthers up next. This personally is my favorite team of the night. Arrow, Coffee, and MD boys. That should be an incredibly entertaining team to watch this season and to welcome the Panthers back into Major for the first time in a few seasons. The Pirates, I believe, coming back into Major for the first time in a little while as well. Don't quote me on that. They selected Miro, a 2K MMR player, and they would pair him with M-Dot and Renro at number 41. Eagles would select next, and they would take Rec at 10 and fill out the roster with Nitrix at number 23 and Lush at number 42. Lumberjacks would go with Valence at number 43 overall to round out their team. They started it, though, at number 11 with Zapeg Mafia and would follow it up with Grand Plat at number 22. Sharks would start their day with Algix, a good pick in my opinion, at number 12. Sharks at number 21 would then select Slimeball, and they would finish it off with Isaac. I think this is my second favorite team of the night. A lot of good potential with the Sharks this season. I think they could be very, very good. The Bulls would be up next at number 13. They would select Mitch early on and then go with Lefty right after. Way down in the draft would select Knuckle to round out that roster. Ooh, trade's going down. Keep me updated, Dirty. I'll get to it after I go through all of the rosters once. Kings at 14. We got two more teams after the Cobras and Ascension. Kings at number 14 would select Gamma. At number 19 would select Wolf and would select Frisbee at 46. The Cobras selecting right around the middle of the draft. Dayfic at 15 and iTrash at 18. They would round out their squad with Squishy with the second last pick. Ascension would end up going with the 16th and 17th pick. They would select Mr. S and Stick, and then Swift would be their last pick, as he is the GM of that organization. Oh, baby, a 3-team trade between the Whitecaps, Sharks, and Eagles already happening. Let's go check in on that. Oh, boy, this is going to be my favorite part of the night, I think, for sure. Scrolling through all of the text channels. Trade Central. Okay, here we go. Eagles receive Slime Ball from the... That was a second-round pick. I think these are all second-round picks that have been traded. So Sharks took Slime Ball. He's going to the Eagles. Sharks receive Aspect of Hope, who was drafted by the Whitecaps. And the Whitecaps are going to receive Nitrix from the Eagles. So 3 teams already going 1, 2, 3 between players. All selected in the second round. Slime Ball at 21, Nitrix at 23, and Aspect of Hope selected at 28. So all right around the same spot. 3 check marks on that. And already a big trade going down that's going to affect things here. So Slime Ball for Aspect of Hope. That will gonna break this trade down a little bit just to see if there's any more that will come in right after the draft that we can talk about before we log off. But the Sharks team now that I loved could even be better now. Aspect of Hope is going to join Algix and Isaac on that squad. That still has a very high potential squad, and I think the Eagles also with a huge upgrade, not huge upgrade here, obviously, because Nitrix is still quite good, but Slimeball, a player who played, I believe on, I'm going to check this again because I got it wrong last time. He played in the Sharks last year, drafted by them again this year, but will not be back after this trade. And he will be going to the Eagles. He will play with Loosh and Wreck. So the dynamic duo of Wreck and Slimeball back in action. They were on the Sharks, both of them, last year, so that duo reunited. Great to see. And Loosh back as well. I don't know if he was part of the Sharks last year. Let me actually look that up. Loosh was on the Trojans last year, the AAA affiliate of the Spartans. So he's getting the move up to Major, and will get to team with 2 seasoned Major players now as well, which is huge for them. That could be an incredibly dangerous team now looking at it. And the last one is the Whitecaps. Nitrix going there. He will join Ryan and Cole Frankenpuff. 2 players I'm not, or I guess 3 players I'm not super familiar with myself. We'll have to see how the season plays out for them, but players on that team highly rated, and we'll see if this trade makes them even more competitive than they were. Hopefully that instant analysis from an A player was good enough for you, as there are no more trades to talk about at the moment. Let me see. I wonder if there's any other trade block announcements or anything like that we can update with. The free agent market is now open as well. So, right off the bat, Cobra's going to sign Big Burrito to a contract in Major. And, of course, they had to complete the trifecta. Ducks signing T-Man. There it is. P-Man, T-Man, B-Man, and one other guy who happened to be their first-round pick, One-Tap Stevens. So, fair enough. So, they have the trifecta there of all of the men. So a great little meme team. That'll be incredibly fun to watch this season. K1 Skills is going to be signed by the Flames. And that is all of the free agent signings so far in Major. So teams will now have the free agent market to go and sign a fourth player, as there are 4 roster slots. We just didn't draft for all of them tonight. So there's still a lot of possibilities to fill out a 4th roster slot, and we'll see which one of those undrafted players is going to prove themselves and make a starting roster this season. But that is going to do it for tonight. My voice is going to start dying momentarily. I got to save it for tomorrow because we will be back with the P4 and independent drafts. You will not want to miss it as we start to get into the swing of things here in Season 20. I hope you enjoy this wonderful new look here up on the screen of blue and silver. Back to the OG colors and back to some fun stuff this season. Thank you all for tuning in to the Major Draft, and we'll see you back same time tomorrow night.